Muhammad Umar Farooq biological video. Please make sure to subscribe, like and share. Ask the question for answer and comment about the artwork perspective. So in this video we will talk about the transport in plant. That's the transport due to the xylem. That's a mineral and water transport. Just we will discuss about in this tutorial. So here is the plant which that are stem, and that's the shoot system are present in the upper side which that are without ground, and there's the soil which anchor the root, that is known as root system. And if we will talk about the shoot system, that's the shoot system is used for the photosynthesis and making sugar and another protein etc. by absorbing carbon dioxide to produce oxygen. But in the other hand, there's the water will absorb from the root, and there's the water also absorbed by the osmosis. That's the osmotic gradients which that are used for the passive transport. And that passive transport will be, there's the root provides large surface area for absorption. That's absorb the water into the roots and go upward via a xylem. That's the xylem is used for the water conduction and mineral. But in the other hand, phloem use. So here the root, there's a root which composed of root branches, and that root branches is will convert more. That's the upper part of the root branches is made up of root hairs. So that's the root here. Basically here is the epidermis, and here the xylem plus phloem are present inside the root. So remember it. So here I will talk about that thing is the root here create large surface area into the root hair projection. That's the hair root hair projection is create the large surface area. Why? Because there's a function increase for the absorption. For example, I will give you an example. There's a very great example, and there you can imagine what is the function and what is the surface area or volume, which that is volume. So now we will talk about the here is a volume. Volume is higher in computer, so the function is to processing. But here is the laptop which that volume is less but function is high, and is the tablet which that function is high but volume is low. Volume is low. And it is the mobile which that are more function because the camera everything, and that function is more but the volume is less. So here the root here projection is, there's the similar action for the absorption of water is more, but the volume of the root surface area due to the projection of root hairs, that's create less volume but function is enhanced. That's the enhanced function due to the projection of hair, that is known as root hair. So here is the, I will draw another cross section of the root which that are endodermis are present. There's the epidermis, and there's the root hair are present. There's the epidermis. Okay, right? So here is the pericycle. Is that pericycle is basically are present, and the upper side of the pericycle is known as endodermis. So endodermis is the whole cover of the pericycle, xylem and phloem inner side. There's a coverage of the basically vascular bundles, that is known as vascular slender. That is the coverage due to the pericycle. Okay, and no endodermis is very important. The endodermis is the separation of the epidermis and endodermis. That's between the basically cortex are present is here. So there's the basically here is the xylem, that's shown in the red color, and orange color shows that the phloem. So the xylem move inside and phloem move outside due to the vascular cambium which that are present in between the xylem and phloem. And there's a primary xylem will go there's a secondary xylem will go inside toward the pith, that is known as heartwood, and secondary xylem which that are upper side and which that are go more inside. That is why the basically primary xylem will be crushed and secondary xylem will be produced, and phloem will move upward. That's the toward the epidermis. So here I draw a cross section of the root which that are root stem. So here is the carbon dioxide. Basically sometimes carbon dioxide also absorbed due to the root hair, but we will discuss about here is just water. So here is the here is the epidermis, and here is the cortex, and endodermis are present is here. So that's endodermis is basically used for the now we will talk about the transport in plant in different manners. There's the plant transport is in the different manners to transport the water inside the xylem, and then xylem will conduct the water upward to move toward the leaves. That's a use for the evaporation. That is known as photorespiration or a photoevaporation, or sometime evaporation. There is the transpiration is known as well. So here is the xylem with that are containing pitted. That's the whole xylem, but another is the cross section of the xylem that is known as vascular cylinder. That is xylem, and here is the pericycle are present is here. And here basically I will give you a concept about here. So here is the Symplast pathway. Now we will talk about the basically Symplast pathway. So the Symplast pathway mean that the Symplast pathway is moved to due to the plasmodesmata are present in between the cells. That is the plasmodesmata is used for the transport of water by a pit or plasmodesmata. There's a pore-like structure between two cells. There's a two adjacent cell, and there's the lamella present, we will talk in next. So here is the Casparian strip are present in the endodermis. There's endodermis composed with the Casparian strip. That is the Casparian strips is the lignification and calcification and waxes deposition which create the hydrophobic interaction, and water will not move by a cell wall to cell wall. There is a movement of cell wall to cell. So the apoplast pathway is known as cell wall to cell wall movement, and Symplast pathway is known as the vacuoler pathway or cell to cell pathway, which that are protoplasm is used for the movement. So here the water will move and upward from upward. So plasmodesmata are pit are present which used for it. So now we will discuss about with the detail of the Symplast pathway. So here is apoplast pathway which that are moved from cell wall to cell wall. Okay, so here is a apoplast, and now we will discuss about the here is basically I will write here apoplast pathway which that move from cell wall to cell wall. Okay, right. And no Symplast pathway is moved from the plasmodesmata. That water move from the plasmodesmata is known as Symplast pathway. So remember it is very easy. Basically it is known as also vacuoler pathway because the Symplast pathway, then plasmodesmata allow to enter the water inside the cell, then cell will allow the water, the vacuole will be absorb the water, and that's transferred to the next cell by a plasmodesmata. So that's the important things. So here I will draw another thing that's known you can give a concept. So here the endodermis and epidermis. That's epidermis contain root hair and cell wall are present, which that our cell wall is made up of cellulose. Okay, and here is the basically here is the root hair and here is the root hair. Okay, and here is the soil particle which that is soil composed with a hydrated soil, and air spaces are present. And here is the cortex, and basically here is the cortex and here is the cortex. There's a cortex are present, and here is basically inside cells is known as pericycle. Okay, thus pericycle is very important, which that are pericycle is used for the cambium ring, basically pericycle which that are vascular xylem ring are produced, which that is known as annular ring, which is produced due to the pericycle. So here is the inner side which that are made up of xylem, and that's going toward the xylem into the pith. Okay, that is the xylem vessel which that are inside his here. So here is the basically Casparian strip are also present is here, can be it can be. So here is basically endodermis. Okay, here is the basically endodermis 2 layers, and here is the pericycle. Okay, here is the pericycle, and there is the endodermis. Okay, both layers are endodermis, and here is the endodermis. Okay, no Casparian strip are present in the golden color I will show you. So here is the xylem vessels. The xylem vessels we will discuss in the next topic, but we should focus on the xylem vessel is made up of dead plant cells, and their plant cell is elongated and deposition of lignin, but cellulose is too much, and that's the basically used for the water conduction and minerals. So here then now we will discuss about the with detail apoplast pathway. So apoplast pathway, cell wall to cell wall. So it means here is cell wall to cell wall movement. Okay, so now remember it, here is the cell wall and here is the cell wall to cell wall movement of the water. That is the cell wall to cell wall movement, but the some problem which that are happening in this way. So here is the Symplast pathway should be choose due to the presence of Casparian strip. So the Casparian strip are present is, for example, I will give you a concept about that thing, but here is the Casparian strip which that allow to enter the water inside into the vacuole, that's known as vacuoler pathway. So inside will be moved due to the presence of the Casparian strip are present in the cell wall of the cell. So you make concept about it and know here there's a cell again will be Symplast pathway will occur, and again apoplast pathway will be occur into the xylem vessel, and then again Symplast pathway will be occur in the dead xylem vessel. There's a trachea or can be fiber, and there's the protoplast to protoplast movement is known as Symplast pathway. So remember it. And here is the plasmodesmata connection. That is the plasmodesmata connection. Plasmodesmata mean there's a pore-like structure are present between the cell to cell, and there's the lamella are present in the other hand we will discuss in the next topic. But here is the we should understand about the plasmodesmata. So here the partially permeable membrane are present between the cell to cell is also and plasmodesmata. So here the vacuolar pathway. The vacuolar pathway is vacuole to vacuole movement of water. That is the Symplast pathway. No, and Symplast pathway is the sub branches of the Symplast pathway is known as the one of the major example is known as vacuolar pathway. So we have understand about here apoplast pathway, Symplast pathway, and vacuolar pathway. The vacuolar pathway is that after Symplast and then vacuole will be can enter. So here to here. So here basically I will give you a Casparian strip concept is here. So here is the cell which that are basically endodermis cells which that are lignified waxy material are present in the endodermis, which that is known as Casparian strip is present is here. So Casparian strip is align the whole cell wall, which that is not allowed to water inside the remain inside the cell wall. So water will bend from here to here. So no, here water, okay, and water will go via a apoplast pathway, then convert the direction and go into the vacuole is known as Symplast pathway via a plasmodesmata is here. Okay, so then go inside and go into the another cell. Okay, so here the apoplast pathway are present is here. So but it's not choose because Casparian strip are present. So here is the plasmodesmata, right? And there's a pore-like structure are present is known as plasmodesmata, and that plasmodesmata will allow to move inside the water. That's how Casparian strip are present, and there's the water will change the another path. There's the Symplast pathway or vacuolar pathway, vacuole to vacuole movement. But one concept to make sure about that, I will give you another concept is here. So here the water move, okay, there is water Casparian strip are present which that are whole covered, and there's the basically Casparian strip will be not allowed to water inside basically Symplast pathway. Okay, I will give you a summary about that things. So here the apoplast pathway is move the cell wall to cell wall movement, but here is the Casparian strip are present due to the endodermis. Then the water will change their direction from apoplast pathway to Symplast pathway. That Symplast pathway is in two type, which that are without non-vacuolar pathway or vacuolar pathway. Okay, so here then move inside the vascular cylinder, which that is made up of xylem, the xylem vessels and xylem tracheids. Then water move the same direction is upward. So I hope make concept about that easy to understand and remember about these things. So here is the cell wall. There's a cell wall which that is not allowed to enter the water, so that the Symplast pathway will be here is the nucleus and is the vacuole. Okay, so water will not move into the as a apoplast pathway, because apoplast pathway is the cell wall to cell wall, but Symplast pathway is a Plasmodesmata and cell to cell movement via a vacuole or with our non-vacuole pathway, which that is present is here. So here is the water move inside with that a whole basically box shape cells are present is here, and that cell is used for the water movement. So the what is the importance of water? That's water is very important for the photosynthesis, for the survival, and for the cool down of the plant, and for using the survive the plant due to the water. So water is very important for photosynthesis and everything.